Pakistan has remained silent on calls by the US president for more Muslim-majority nations, including Pakistan, to join the Abraham Accords. This is at the very least what the US is expecting in return for the deal that US will crack with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. But in the latest, the country's defense minister, Khwaja Asif, has expressed his reservations. He cited Islamabad's long-standing refusal to recognize Israel while saying that it is his personal opinion. Now, this is what happened on Monday. Trump shared a long post on Truth Social. In one part of his statement, Trump says that once the war with Iran concludes, he wants more nations to recognize Israel, even calling it mandatory, and formally join the Abraham Accords. And this follows a telephonic exchange between Trump and the top leadership from Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan and Bahrain. Now, UAE and Bahrain are already signed on to the Abraham Accords, but the rest of the countries, and that includes Pakistan, there's a strong call there, even making it mandatory for Saudi Arabia and Qatar, asking them to start and the other nations should follow. Well, the list of countries he named, Pakistan being one of them, which is one of the several countries brokering talks between Washington and Tehran. It was only in January earlier this year that Pakistan had once again ruled out joining the Abraham Accords. Mind you, even in the Pakistani passport, it is clearly written that this passport is not recognized in Israel and Pakistan does not recognize Israel. The country's foreign office has said that its participation in the Trump-led Gaza Peace Board, which took place earlier this year, is separate from normalization with Israel, which the country rejects. Pakistan does not recognize Israel as a sovereign entity, because of which the two countries do not have any diplomatic ties. Islamabad has repeatedly maintained its stance that it will not normalize ties without a two-state solution with respect to Palestine. Now, let's come to Saudi Arabia. It has also cited its stance on the Palestinian sovereignty as a major hitch to normalization, and Pakistan echoes the same stance. Well, that sentiment also reflects on ground. Among the local population of Pakistan, thousands of Pakistanis have come out on the streets on several occasions in support of Gaza when Israel was bombarding the Palestinian territory. The pro-Palestine rallies have taken place across the country, from Islamabad to Karachi and even Lahore. More recently, Shia Muslims of the country stepped out to demonstrate against US and Israel's strikes on Iran, which assassinated the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Pakistan has a sizable Shia population, making it one of the top 3 countries with about 10 to 15% Shia Muslims residing in the country. The latest remark by Trump now puts the spotlight back on Pakistani leadership and even the other Gulf countries that he mentions in that long post that Donald Trump posted just yesterday. But the country's historical stance on Israel, it puts a question on it. The US president in his lengthy post also said that there will be 1 or 2 countries in that list who will, quote-unquote, have a reason not to sign the Abraham Accords, and that will be acceptable. Let me quickly go over the list of countries here: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, UAE and Bahrain. But the question now is, will Pakistan be that exception to Trump's diktat? And if not, can Asim Munir and Shehbaz Sharif maintain Pakistan's stance to reject normalization with Israel, or will that now change? So, Donald Trump's proposal to get all Gulf nations to join the Abraham Accords, is that a diversionary tactic? Is that a wish, or is it an ultimatum? That's what we're now going to be discussing. All right, for more on this, I'm now being joined by Chris Doyle, who's a director and lead spokesperson of Council for Arab-British Understanding. Mr. Doyle, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start right off. Trump's proposal to the Muslim nations to join the Abraham Accords, and he's put that proposal out, rather thrown that proposal onto the Gulf nations. It's almost seeming like a barter for what Donald Trump will achieve in the Strait of Hormuz by solving a problem which was created by the war which was started by the US, and in return, at the very least, making it mandatory for all these nations, Arab and Muslim nations, to join the Abraham Accords. Is this a diversionary tactic, or is it wishful thinking? How do you see it?
Well, thank you for having me. I think actually this is in part because the reported elements of the deal that apparently is so much closer to being agreed between the US and Iran is actually very weak. It actually will open up a lot of avenues for criticism of President Trump that essentially the whole war against Iran has achieved very little, and that he's going to end it with signing up to an agreement that was actually available to him prior to the war, probably even a better one at that stage. So the way that he can try then to sell this to this critical audience, and in particular to Israel, is that if we can also have some add-ons, which would be certain countries joining the Abraham Accords, recognizing Israel and opening up those normal relations. And it is so typical of President Trump, and this is so transactional, that he sees resolving these conflicts as business deals, that this is what you get, this is what the other party gets, do this and this will happen. But of course, what he refuses to understand is that there are actually very deep-rooted reasons why these conflicts exist, why these countries have not made a peace with Israel, why they don't have relations. And if anything, those reasons are actually even more acute than ever before. Why would Saudi Arabia or Qatar, as leading states in the Arab world, make a deal now when, frankly, in Gaza there is a genocide, settlements are going forward apace in the West Bank, and there is a full-scale invasion and bombing every day of Lebanon? They can't just make a deal with Israel now when Israel is behaving in this way. There would have to be some form of Israeli agreement that they are going to withdraw from these areas is occupied, that there is a pathway to a state of Palestine. And that is the key position of the Saudi Arabian government. And I suspect that will be the position that other countries that have been cited who don't have relations with Israel will actually fall behind.
Mr. Roy, let me come to that. Let me start off with Pakistan there. They do not recognize Israel. We've seen enough visuals of flags, of the Israeli flag, the way it is treated in Pakistan. I'll leave it there. But for Donald Trump to be proposing this to Pakistan, and Asim Munir was on that call in which, because this was first proposed to all these countries on a joint call. This is as per a CBS report. That call happened on Saturday. Then there was a slight further hint on Sunday. And then again another post, again detailing all these countries, and even going as far as to say that it should be mandatory. Maybe one or two can be left out. Do you feel Pakistan would be that exception? Donald Trump would give them that exception?
Well, I don't, only in the sense that I don't think Pakistan is going to join this, but I don't think Saudi Arabia and Qatar are going to join up to this either. So I don't think you're going to get, I don't think this will be a maneuver that will actually see those sorts of results. At best, and I'm extremely skeptical, you might get some agreement of non-aggression or some agreement to allow overflights with varying countries, but I do not believe, with the situation particularly in Lebanon and Palestine as it is, that these countries are going to risk the outrage amongst their own local populations by doing this right now. And it would be throwing the Palestinians under the bus, the Lebanese under the bus, and for what? I mean, what is Israel bringing to the table in all of this? It's like a free gift to Netanyahu just in front of his election campaign. So I'm not sure that this is a runner at all.
Also, let me bring your attention to Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Saudi Arabia in particular. They've already started diversifying away from their larger American security architecture, which they relied upon very heavily. And that entire image that they had of these air defenses, the THAAD, the Patriot, being impregnable. Well, that image has been largely dented given the way Iran fired missiles and the way they caused damage in these countries, and that includes Qatar as well. But Saudi Arabia has already tied up with Ukraine. They've also looked at a British firm for air defense interceptors. UAE, of course, has also looked at the Iron Dome. UAE is already part of the Abraham Accords. I won't go there further. But for Saudi Arabia, using this kind of language that it is mandatory and you must start and you should sign this Abraham Accord first and then the rest of the nations will follow. How does it help? And let me also just quickly remind, Donald Trump had made a remark saying, kiss my, and I won't follow that through, but he said that for MBS. These remarks are not lost on nations like Saudi Arabia. These are Muslim nations. They don't take disrespect in any medium.
Well, they don't. And I think that the heyday of Trump-Saudi relations may have passed. What I think will happen, it depends really how this war ends. If it ends right now in the next few days, hopefully with a deal, or whether it kicks off again. But I think states like Saudi Arabia and Qatar will not abandon the United States, but they will seek alternative input into their security plans and strategies, so they're not just as reliant. So a lot of the American anti-missile kit is highly advanced. It's probably the most advanced in the world, and it's designed to take out these big ballistic missiles. Where Ukraine comes in is the ability to take down Iranian drones and smaller missiles at a much cheaper, more affordable cost. And the problem is with the American systems is they're obviously very expensive. So I think we will see a mix of security needs and plans from these states, making them just a little less dependent on the US.
And Mr. Doyle, let me lastly also get your assessment on the US perspective here, or at least Donald Trump's perspective here. This was not a random post that we've seen, or any other post that we've seen, where he's hinting at some country becoming the 51st state of the US, like he's done multiple number of times with Canada, and he's also talked about Venezuela. These are posts that he's put out and said these statements time and time again. This is a very lengthy post. What is he thinking? Or what is the overall aim of even suggesting something like this?
I think Trump harks back to his first term, where the Abraham Accords with the UAE and Bahrain, and then subsequently Sudan and Morocco joining in, would be, in his view, one of his successes. And so he wants to add to it. He sees it as a model if he can get other countries in. But I go back to what I said earlier. I think it is also getting a very hesitant, nervous Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel on board with his Iran deal. Honestly. And then a part of it is to set it to him to say, look, don't undermine this deal. You're going to get a normalization with another leading nation, be it Pakistan or Saudi Arabia. So it's in your interest. I just don't think that it's going to work out that way. And I don't think the United States quite has the leverage and power and influence that sometimes President Trump thinks it has. It may be a trial balloon. He may be seeing whether he can get it on. I don't know whether he really expects these countries to sign up, or he's just trying it out. If at this moment, with a deal in the offing, he can push, more countries down this path.
I hear your point. Chris Doyle, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining me here on Point Counterpoint. There will be more to discuss.
Thank you.